have to stop playing God if I'm gonna be a Muslim. That's the first thing.
Okay. So, I mean, I'll kick it off, innit? So, welcome, people. We're back. Me and Pop's talking about religion, politics, and whatnot. You know what? I've been seeing this guys when Andrew Tate for a while now, popping up, but I ain't really paid him no mind. But I found it interesting. I seen a video pop up and it said Andrew Tate converts to Islam. But everything prior to that I've seen of this man is so contradictory to what my understanding of Islam and limited understanding. It's just contrary to it completely, ain't it? So yeah, man. Today we're gonna watch this video, see why he has converted, and the reasons behind it, and basically. What's your thoughts?
Again, I don't know Andrew Tate. You spoke about him briefly to me before, and your comments weren't very constructive. So I'm gonna start from just there. Yeah, let's watch the video.
Yeah, man,
I'll give you my thoughts as we go. Andrew Tate.
I wanted to ask you now, because this is the hot topic, especially in the Muslim community, about your conversion.
Yeah.
So tell us the story, like what happened exactly?
Well, I think a lot of people who've been following me for a while understand that I've been very respectful of Islam for a long time.
Yeah, sure.
I was born in a Christian country. I was raised as a Christian. And I've always been very respectful of Islam. And it's become more and more obvious to me and more pertinent that Islam is the last religion on the planet. When I talk about Islam, because I'm new to it,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit careful, right? Because I'm new to it. I'm certainly not a scholar. There's so much I need to learn. I know I'm on a learning journey. I'm not here to sit here and talk scripture. I don't know those things yet. I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
But
And we're here at your assistance.
thank you,
Anything
bro.
want to
Thank
do,
you.
honestly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it's just, for me, it feels like the last religion on earth. I feel like there's no other religion. People say to me, why did you convert? And I said, I don't really feel it as a conversion. It's almost like I knew God was real and now I've become religious. And they say, well, you were religious before. I was like, religious before how? Christian? What does Christian mean? Like, who's not a Christian? You go to Christian nations and everyone says they're a Christian. Look how they live their lives. Go into the average church. Is anyone actually fearful of God? Anybody?
Okay, so we're a minute in at it, and at the moment, he could be talking a lot of sense and be seen as a very wise man in just what he said. I mean, it's true, and you can be born and raised in a Christian country. That don't make you a Christian. You know, you can say that, but that's the same thing. You can be born in a Muslim or Arab country, and the same thing don't make you, unless you understand. So he's saying that he's learning this now, and he just said, I'm not a scholar, so I'm learning. So right now, it's coming across as, you know, representing what it should be. That's all I'd say. But we'll see what he says on it.
Anybody. No, the girls are out on Saturday night drinking and then they turn up to church because their parents made them. Like there's no substance to the religion. And also, Islam very closely reflects my personal beliefs. Through my personal life, I've learned that if you don't have standards and you're not a strong person who's prepared to defend his ideas, you will be crushed.
Yes.
And we look at most religions in the world today, which are not prepared to defend their ideas. What's happened to them?
Okay, so that's the first thing that I just thought, like, you pussy. Why? So his whole premise and his ideological of this is my religion is based on basically a violent, destructive thought process. It's nothing about the deen. It's nothing about how you live your life. It's they just said destroy your enemies. That's it. Just for us. Go on, sorry.
I think, again, look at his background. He's a fighting person. He's very aggressive in terms of his approach. Whatever he's going to tell us, he hasn't told us yet, but he's already coming across. I don't know him, like I said.
Yeah.
You
It's a
know,
kickboxer. It was a kickboxing world
He
champion.
has set the distinction by saying, I don't know anything about the religion at all. But in terms of how I see it, if I was going to edge my bets on a fight, I'd go with the bigger fighter than the smaller fighter. So that's about everything he said so far. Yeah, he likes the big fighter, not the small fighter.
They're just getting crushed. And now we have Christianity as an idea, which has basically said, well, we can't set any firm rules because everyone will just quit. So instead, let's make it so easy to be a Christian that nobody has to put any effort in.
Yeah.
And then accept everybody no matter what. And
That is facts though as well. Just throwing that out there.
I think Christianity, in its inception, was called a universal religion. When the Romans got it to where they wanted to be to market it as a product, it was the universal religion. So all these other religions are the children of that religion. You understand? There was Judaism. Islam never came after Judaism. Islam came after Christianity.
Yeah.
You understand?
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
So this is, all of them saying that they've got something more to offer. Islam is just the last of that group, but then
But do we also think that things are like timelines, innit? So let's say Islam started 600 years after Christianity, roughly, innit? If I'm correct, that's what I believe. So we talk about like civilizations, say how like, our religions are progressive, all this. But realistically, because of the religions, it was only like 100 years ago that Christianity was running the slave trade. It was only 60 years ago, really, if you think about it, that they were still hanging people in this country and killing them. So you have to think, we're talking about how Christianity is so civilized. You've had a 600-year head start on other religions as well. So when you think about it in terms like that.
Again, to me, it was you're building an empire, and how do you control everybody and create a culture across diverse groups? So you need something, like I said, faith is a good way, music and dance. There are certain things that people respond to. So
yeah, it's fair, isn't it? It's fair. It's fair though, isn't it? Realistically, because you think about it, you can't control people. If you've got big groups of people, but there's only little numbers of you, you need to make yourself. It's like the art of war, isn't it? You need to make yourself big when you're small. So what better way than saying, yo, there's a man in the sky watching you all the time. So that's it is tactics, mind control.
Again, running an empire.
In fact, let's see what he says anyway.
And hopefully we can keep the church doors open. That's not God to me, you know?
Yeah.
God to me is strong. God to me is something to be feared.
Yeah.
God to me is someone that people are afraid to mock.
Yeah.
God to me is someone that you have to go out of your way to prove something to. God to me has red lines.
Yeah.
Like God to me represents the Islamic faith. The Christian God to me, I don't see God. I can't explain. I don't see anything there. So to me, it was the only logical choice in the end.
Alhamdulillah, man. I mean, as you're saying this, I'm sure many people are like ecstatic and extremely happy. It's a great thing for everyone, honestly, because, just anyone coming into Islam is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us better than the world and everything in it.
Yeah.
But imagine now somebody of major influence. I mean, you're the most Googled person on the planet. I'm not sure if you still have the top spot.
I think Putin might have beat me as of last week, but I think it's between me and Putin at the moment.
God, see, this is what I mean. It's so like boasty, innit? This ain't like religion to me. Like, where's the humbling yourself? Like, I'm not even religious, but when I'd watch this and just be thinking, wow, like this to me is an advert not to be religious. Because it's like, yeah, I got so much. Well, it's all for influence and clout.
Well,
there's meant to be a thing in religion, and I think in Christianity, Judaism, all that, where it's kind of like your intentions are important. So it's not just do a good thing so you can get praised and loved and da-da-da. It's do a good thing, just have good intentions. And this game is...
I don't think it's about intentions. Like
it is, man. I think...
Right. Muslims, as I said to you before, as a Muslim, I have to be glad for anybody who comes a Muslim because that's what's taught.
Okay.
Right? So that's the deen. Anybody comes a Muslim...
That's your brother.
He gave a reference there. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, anybody becoming a Muslim is better than the world, this and that. So it's in Quran. That's the perception, right?
So even if they're just like, I don't know, that
Well, becoming a Muslim is the beginning of the journey. It's not the end of the journey.
Okay,
like I
true,
say.
true,
If you're born,
true.
if you live in, for example,
Yeah, it can
Gambia,
change.
you grow up in a Gambian community that's Muslim. Everybody goes to the mosque on Friday. It's normal. Even if you don't, you still know how it works and you still build your life around that. So when you're in England or a Christian, as he's saying, his lifestyle has none of those guidances. He has to go from scratch. So he's coming the way he's, and he is predominantly ego. You understand?
Yeah.
I'm not sure his is. Again, I don't know how he got to the decision or seeing it as an important step for him to take fully.
Let's find out. Let's find out.
But I don't want to lose to Putin. Look, Putin's the big G. I don't want more enemies. Like it's fine, Vladimir. You can have it.
I never thought I'd hear you saying that statement.
Yeah.
Putin beat me last year. Right?
Yeah. I think we're certainly the most Googled.
But no, it's definitely something beautiful, and a lot of people have. You'll be surprised at how many women as well. Like, because obviously the accusations of misogyny and stuff, which but a lot of women, alhamdulillah, especially in the Muslim world, they're absolutely happy. In fact, let me tell you a story. Just before I came here today, one particular woman, I can't reveal her identity, but she's working as a school teacher in London. And actually, my friend told me that she was kicked out of school because they had this campaign against you in the schools. I'm not sure if you're aware of this.
I've seen, this was part of the cancellation. I did know about this.
Yeah, so in British schools, they said, if you say anything good about if you say anything good about this person, or you have to be reported or prevent and kind of. And if you say anything, you have to kind of combat his extremism or whatever it may be, right? So because when you became Muslim, she abstained from doing that. She said, I can't really do that because Islamic laws and it's backbiting and he's got honor in Islam and so on. And unfortunately, they fired her from the position.
Wow.
So you can see that this is the level of encroachment we're talking about here. So, and this shows you that the level of fraternity that exists, and not only the fact that when you're looking at Twitter or whatever social media, it's not a representation of what's really happening on the ground.
Of course, and I mean that's crazy to hear. And what's most crazy is, the fervor behind this idea that I'm somehow extremist is truly clown world. Like I've sat as a professional and analyzed my content and understood which things can be taken out of context and which things were said in a way perhaps they shouldn't have been said before I was massively famous. But we have to sit here and understand that if you take anybody on the planet and give them 7 years of YouTube and then they decide and they blow up big, you're going to be able to find 30 to 45 seconds of clip across all those years that can be taken out of context, right? Yeah. And it's truly crazy because they sit and say, oh yeah, but the young boys are watching your stuff and they don't truly understand all of it, and there's nuance that's missing. And my argument is very simple. My argument is, well, one, you're taking small clips out of context, and two, there's not a single piece of content on the internet that a 14-year-old boy can't misunderstand. Name someone who's producing content on the internet that you would be 100% happy for a 14-year-old to
drill artists. And so they say that.
See, now, this is where I feel like to be defensive, he's diluting his own past, kind of. Because I've watched podcasts with him on, and that's where I got the thing this guy is a fool. So now what he's trying to say is these 14-year-old boys can't, they're going to take things out of context, but that's because you're promoting it to 14-year-old boys.
What's he promoting now?
He's got this thing called, it's something like the ultimate man thing, isn't it? So what he'll do is he'll go on to Twitch, which is a platform where loads of kids and gamers go on there, and you can farm people's followers on it. So if you go into their chat rooms and stuff and start speaking to 15-year-olds and then you're getting them. Imagine, it's like when you're young, it's easy to finesse a girl, and that's the truth. So what he's doing is finessing these people. But like I said, he could have changed on it. I don't know. This is why I want to watch this, because the last time, this was a year ago when I've seen him on podcasts. So.
They say that. I mean, I live in an area I'm not going to mention the names of the artists, but they're talking about going to this person's house and killing him.
And killing him in the middle of a knife crime epidemic.
Yeah.
We have Little Nas twerking on having sex with the devil in his music videos.
Really?
Like, we're going to sit here and talk about how children can be impressionable young children, and I'm sitting there saying there's no way I'm the worst person on the internet. That's not why they deleted me.
There's a difference for them.
That is facts, though. Straight facts.
For them is, as you've mentioned, on those fronts, it doesn't matter to them because it's like, okay, they're consuming our hedonistic products or whatever it is. That it doesn't change their worldview. Whereas what you're saying is ideological now. You're challenging the status quo of the LW, of the liberal world order. You're challenging second wave feministic notions. You are challenging some liberal notions. You are challenging ideas, commonplace ideas of tolerance. And George Orwell said it very well. He said that the more a society moves away from the truth, the more it hates people who speak it.
Absolutely, and you're right. And I think even the basic things I teach, because some people have said to me, Andrew, all you teach about is personal responsibility, motivation, working hard, getting up and doing the right thing. I said, that's the absolute, those are the things they're most afraid of. If you teach people to have standards for themselves and to be morally strong people and to know right from wrong, then they can't brainwash you.
Yep.
So that's what they're most afraid of. They're most afraid of young men waking up and going, no, I don't believe that. You have to believe it. No, I don't believe it. I don't want to. And I want to go do this. I want to go to the gym and be strong, or I want to believe X, or I want to be a moral person. They genuinely have a problem with baseline morality.
Yes. Yeah.
Understand? When some people recognize when I converted to Islam that there was a time I was an atheist. There was a time when I was atheistic. And the reason I am now so absolutely certain that God is real is because I've seen evil. I've seen shaitan. I've seen it. When you see enough evil, you realize that there must be an equal and opposite force. And there are people out there in the world today doing the work of the devil, genuine demons, who are trying to destroy the baseline morality that's inside of all of us. We're all born with some kind of morality, and they're trying to destroy it.
And that's exactly the Islamic understanding, that we believe that you're born with something called fitrah, which is the initial goodness. You're born with an innate belief, receptivity to believe in one God.
Yeah.
And then that is corrupted. In fact, there's a prophet, hadith of the prophet, where he says, كُلُّ مَوْلُودٍ يُولَدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ. Every born child is born upon this initial goodness. فَأَبَوَاهُ يُهَوِّدَانِهِ أَوْ يُنَصِّرَانِهِ أَوْ يُمَجِّسَانِهِ. And then his father and mother or his parents, they so...
Isn't that just like isn't that just a universal belief though? Like, no children are born bad, and like, realistically, I don't think people think, like, yo, that child was born bad.
They're talking the essence of the child.
Yeah, that's when that's the only time a person has real essence in it. That innocence, when you're a baby, you're not born bad. There's things you're gonna see, and they're gonna influence the way you behave.
Yeah.
So I get it, and it's a good thing, but it's not. It's not
common sense.
It's common. Yeah. It's not a unique like kind of thing. You get me?
Socialize him into Christianity, Judaism, Magiism. So the idea is that everyone is born with this initial goodness and this initial will or want to believe in God, one God. And then, as you mentioned, I mean, it's what you're mentioning here is profound, because you're mentioning a central doctrine in Islam.
But it's and this is why perhaps I found God the way I...
Now, really, someone's born with the initial desire to believe in God, then he adds one God. Why? What was wrong with just God? Someone's believing God, but the one God is straight away makes him born with it to be monotheistic. Let me say, I'm not really sure about what he's doing. At this point, Andrew explains why he became a Muslim. Have you learned why he's become a Muslim yet? Because
not fully, but I think I do have more understanding why he thinks he should be a Muslim. But I don't really think he understands what being a Muslim is, if you understand.
Yeah.
I know why he thinks he should be a Muslim, but I don't really think he understands. And I don't think...
what do you think being a Muslim is? Let me understand.
I don't know what Muslim is, bro. I'm not Muslim. I don't believe in God. That's the thing. But the one thing that I do know, is that I don't think, and again, personal opinion, I'll always go back to intentions, and I feel like when your intentions aren't in the right place, or misguided. He might be in the right place, but they're very misguided, and I think that's just as equally dangerous.
But
So
why do it if you don't believe it? There's no bonus prize for taking Shahada. There's no.
of course there is.
There's
There's influence. If you can influence a whole, the man just said it there, innit? That was the other thing. He said, you know what, it's great when people become Muslim or join Islam. But when someone who does it who's so influential, it should just be the same, man. Like, if man does it who's influential or I do it, it should be the same. He's not a greater Muslim than me just because he's got 75,000 followers if I was Muslim. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's already, for me, showing that, like, this isn't really about me and the religion. It's
Is that
about
just the way his
influence.
brain works? But he's still got to put it all in the same house at the end. So on the journey now, he's got to take time
100%.
to learn the scripture, the language, the this.
100%.
So this is what I say is at the
This is the
moment
start
the
of his
void
journey,
is
innit?
just filled with what was in there to begin with, and he's got
And
to
a
find
notion. And then a notion of
a
he
new
wants to
stance.
go.
Plus, if he wants
Well,
to
it is
get
a
to
journey,
the
innit?
market that you're suggesting, he's gonna have to change anyway because they're more humble in their approach, not so egotistical. Whereas his own approach is, I know, not I believe.
But don't you think that that's actually a sign? You know how they talk about how Islam is very traditional, doesn't change. There's this, but just in the essence of this and what we're seeing now shows the evolution in it. Like in the sense of that you've got people who are becoming Muslim or who are born Muslim, but they're doing more liberal things like making YouTube videos, doing all this, like with not having a humble side of it. There used to be a point where, and again, I don't know this, but the teachings of Islam was kind of something sacred in it, rather than just throw away.
Yeah, there was a lot hidden in the dark. Now it's up for discussion. There was a lot of
That might be a good thing, though, isn't it? That's
It's
a good
great thing. It's a great thing because again, if you talk to the average Muslim, they refer to the scholars and the people who told them, but there's no new scholars since way
That's
back in
true.
the day. There's nobody who's
But the
smart in
internet,
the
it's
world
the
anymore. There's nobody who's inspired or no one who talks to God anymore or no one who has visions or I don't know these things. I don't have them. But again, like I says, in terms of the deen, I can understand the beauty of the deen. And there's a point in time, like I said, it is simple. There's one God, you pray, and it's you and God. Now the rest of the stuff, like I said, going to the mosque and mixing in the community and all that. That's if you live in a community where there's a community. You know, you're still a Muslim by yourself in the middle of Grand Canaria or Cayman or somewhere. You know, so it's about you tooling yourself sufficiently to practice as per the guidance. The guidance is from the Quran. It says you should do this, you should do that. Now you've just got to acquire the knowledge of what you're required to do when you're by yourself, and then when you're in congregation. In congregation, somebody else prays, but should you let somebody who you don't know pray for you? Because if them no good and they pray for you, it's all invalid anyway. It just gets, the rabbit hole gets deeper and deeper and deeper. For the new person in particular, and the influences. Yeah, you know, rich people, money attracts money. It doesn't matter what religion somebody is. Rich people love getting up with rich people.
True. Rich people problems. Yeah, all right, let's see what's going on.
The way I did, because I understood all these things first, and then I saw the Quran, and it confirmed so many things for me. You know, like even the conversations I've been having so far, so many things have been confirmed, and it's amazing the knowledge that's inside of it, which is so applicable today. For an old book, right? You know, it's supposed to be old, but it seems so timeless. But it's truly amazing. But you're totally right, and the baseline morality, I don't think most people understand that when they're doing this under the guise of tolerance, when they're saying be so tolerant that you no longer believe in right from wrong. They're not doing that to make society a better place. They're doing that to empty your brain so that you have no resistance to the slave mind programming. They want to get you to a point where if they tell you the sky is green, you look at with your own eyes and you see blue, but no, the sky is green. That's what they want, so that you have to have nothing in your brain that can prevent that. If you have God, if you have no, I believe this is
good
right
point.
and wrong,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you have personal responsibility, if you have self-accountability, if you're a person who sticks up for what he believes, all that's bad to them. They want all of that gone so they can tell you the sky is green. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want the stream to end, but they're going to tell you something much worse than the sky is green. They're going to tell you something else. And they're trying to program us all into slaves, and it's scary.
I remember when I was in my undergraduate days, and I was reading a particular book by this guy called Jeremy Bentham, who became the spiritual forefather of J.S. Mill, who is the father of social liberalism of today. And I remember reading this because it was so powerful because it linked to something I read in the Quran. He said that, you have two gods. He said you have the God of pain and you have the God of pleasure. And I thought, this is so interesting. The Quran states, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you seen the one who takes his own desires as a God?
Yeah.
And because now there is no transcendental force, that now we're forced to be slaves to the system, we're to our own desires. The Quran has another verse which I think is so powerful and it connects very well with what you're saying. It says, God ضرب الله مثلا رجلا, that God has struck a parable of a man, فيه شركاء متشاكسون, that he has got many different slave owners. وَرَجُلْ سَلَمًا لِرَجُلٍ, and another kind of man who's only got one slave owner. God is basically telling us in the Quran that you've got one example of one individual who's got multiple slave owners and another one with just one. He says, هَلْ يَسْتَوِيَانِ مَثَلًا, are they the same? So here, the idea is, as Rousseau said it, he's a liberal philosopher, he said that man is born free but everywhere in chains. This is the order, because if you don't have that God to worship, then you're going to end up having to worship to everything else. And the whole part of the Shahada which you took, which is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah.
See, I disagree with that, because why, if you don't worship God, you have to worship something else? What are the two things?
That's how his brain works, isn't it?
The true meaning of that, La ilaha illallah, is that there is no God worthy of worship except for one God.
Yep.
Which means that your desires or the system or these people that want to control us, they are the problem.
Right. Let me say, there is no God worthy of worship
Other than
except
one God.
Except, and it tell you the name, that means there's more than one God doing it. Or else why would you say there's no God worthy of worship except God, if there's only one God?
Yeah.
And you just say, only God worthy of worship. Yo, I can't think that though. But what he just said, that's what jumped out to me. The point he's making, look, end of the day, the thing is, my man Andrew Tate, he was going to explain to me why he's become a Muslim. I've heard him suggesting, but I haven't heard anything about him, why he became a Muslim. It's strong, makes sense to him and all that, but nothing spiritual. The rest is just about him and his social media battle. And now we got the brother who's chipping in with Arabic just because it's the Dean show. You could have said it in English, bro. You don't have, I know you gotta say it like that. All that memorization stuff is critical, and it put a blessing on it when you put the Arabic in. You can put some in now if you want, but why? Bottom line is, you understand me because me is your father, no matter which language I speak. So
100.
that's all. 100. That's important. I don't care if you don't understand the next man's dad.
The problem is they're not worthy of worship. The only one worthy of our subordination and submission is the creator of the heavens and the earth. There's no one else.
I agree, and I completely agree, and I've agreed with this for the longest time. I've never been to a music concert, and people ask me why, and I said, I just look at it and I feel embarrassed. I look at someone up on a stage dancing around, and I look at hundreds of thousands of peasants in the crowd, just yeah. I'm like, it's I feel cringe. It's like secondhand embarrassment when I see these festivals and everyone's losing their mind.
He likes some of these fights though.
Yeah, but
or he would like them.
This is what I was just about to say.
Get them there.
See, the man's been 12 minutes and he nearly got through, and the veneer slips on it. Who is a man who claims to be religious and just talked about worshipping one God, the one God, to then in the next sentence be talking about I cringe because there's someone on stage like and there's peasants in there. Like he's the man that, like, so you said, it's like God complex.
He's got to grow into it. It's like a baby, you know, they grow into the body. It's
Yeah,
all
but what I'm
fun and
saying is
stuff.
this
That's how
is
it is.
the problem now, because he's influential. He's kind of like a Kanye thing. Because my man's influential now, people aren't actually gonna tell him, yo, bro, like what? They're just gonna be like, yeah, you said this. 90% of what you said was okay, and you said this, but you shouldn't say that. Because he's gonna go, why? This is what I do. I say what I want.
Yeah.
You're a liberal. Do you know what I mean? It's just gonna be like, so your man should have checked him then. Like, why are you saying that? I just talked about worshipping one God and you're talking about peasants, but he's gonna smile and laugh because he's influential. And
Because he's new.
Music concerts, I genuinely feel embarrassed for the people who go, because to me that is a form of worship. Like, you can listen to the music at home for free. You don't have to wait in that line and stand out in the cold. Like, I don't know, perhaps it was a bit extreme, but I've always known that they're trying to give us false idols to some degree. And when I speak to atheists, they go, I don't believe in God, but they've signed up so hard to the liberal woke agenda. They're as religious as anybody, but they're just believing in the wrong things. They're believing in degeneracy, and they're believing in the work of the devil. So humans always need something to believe in. And it's a great thing you said about your own desires. It's like, one guy I was talking to since my conversion says, it's interesting that somebody with everything, all the Western world, everything somebody could want has now converted. And I said, yeah, because even before my conversion, I understood that hedonism is a black hole and you can never fill it. You're never going to be able to have enough girls to be happy with girls. You're never going to be able to have enough money to be happy with money. You're never going to be able to, drink enough to be happy with drinking. Like, it's a black hole, and you can pour endless things down it, but you'll never fill it up. And you need to have some degree of self-restraint. And I've always been a very disciplined person. I've never made mistakes. But certainly, the higher power is going to give you more satisfaction in your heart than endless insanity.
okay. So what do you think?
Boy, alhamdulillah, he's a Muslim. I hope he becomes a great Muslim. I can't say nothing. He's trying to step to the right. He might, he's him. I don't know his background, his anything. I don't know his business beyond this video.
So does that mean when you're a Muslim, you can never separate a person from the religion?
Well,
So
again,
if a man goes and kills 20 people and he's a Muslim, you have to go, yeah, but he's a Muslim. So
what
he's my
difference
brother.
does it make if a man kills 20 people
Because-
and he's a Muslim?
So that's my point, isn't it? So if he's the one thing, if he is just using this for clout or whatever,
Yeah.
then you have to say, alhamdulillah, he's a Muslim. So I just have to support him, innit?
No, right. I'm supporting, in Islam, them have this thing called jihad. Now, this word is about strive. So, some people will, let's say, is it Maslow's hierarchy?
Yeah. Fire,
Your
water.
jihad adjusts with the levels, like Maslow's pyramid. So, when you're homeless, a lot of the things at the top don't have the same meaning as till you get roof and food and shelter. When you've got those things covered, you go to the next. Now, that's the same whether you're a Muslim, a Christian, or a Jew. The needs and your needs determine. When you choose to add religious practice to it, it means that you're going to commit to a series of activities regardless of what's going on. So for the Muslim, that 5 times a day, ideally at the masjid, in the company of other Muslims, ideally. But you could be sick on your bed at home, you still have to do it.
Yeah.
So you hear about the ideals, no one tells you, it's not like that, We talk about ideals when we're selling it, but it's actually all the time, bro. So there's lots of things that will come out later on, but the idea is good. I want to be closer to God. I want to have an organized relationship.
It don't mean that you're going to be perfect at doing it.
How can you be perfect?
Yeah.
I'm the wickedest sinner. I just killed 20 people 2 minutes ago, but now I want to change. You gotta take that first step now. you gotta be glad for any man who's taking a step to the right. I can't be glad for him when he's
100%,
taking
100%.
loading up the clip before he does the 20 people. I can't be glad for him then,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I can be
yeah.
glad, yo, if he puts down the matic and say, yo,
That's-
falls to his
that-
knees and says, I want to take Shahada.
Then that's the good thing. Okay, yeah, so that's the one thing I take from it, and it realistically, I feel like I still don't like that geezer. And that's just from watching him from time ago. Like I said, yeah, it's the superiority. I feel like he's. And you know, also, I don't like. He loves to say liberal, like liberal, woke. First of all, what constitutes liberal and what constitutes conservative? Like, I don't know. He's trying to put a label on himself. Like, yeah, I'm not this. I don't like that.
He ain't talking
but-
about
but
English
if-
politics, though,
if-
when he says liberal.
Yeah, but what's liberal? See, some people would say to me, "You're liberal," and I say, "Well, what makes you
Like,
think that I'm
you're a
liberal?"
leaf in the wind. You just go anywhere with anything that's going on. Isn't that
Yeah,
liberal?
yeah. But this is what I'm trying to say. There's levels to it, so I don't like it. It's just a generalization. So if I don't agree with you, that means I'm liberal. It's kind of like when someone says something about, the Jewish argument. It's like you're anti-Semitic. So if I don't agree with you, I'm a liberal. Is that what you're trying to say? No. So that's just another thing.
Yeah, just compartmentalizing people.
Yeah,
innit?
yeah.
And having their little.
But that being said,
People
it does say
understand it.
things that make sense as well. Like I said, yeah, this is what's dangerous about it. It's look after yourself, have morality. They are good messages to push to people. So in that respect, yeah, man. I hope his journey goes the right way.
Well, I'll look out for the fully Arabic speaking person in 3 years if he's that real go-getter. Because if he got locked up in Saudi, they give you a Quran and they say when you can memorize that he can go.
For real.
So that me say,
Wow.
if he's really on the thing and he's really that go-getter, disciplined, this and that person, we'll see a different one where humility will be more
Well,
to
yeah,
the
that's
fore.
what I mean. Humility and
And change takes time.
And that's the thing as well. It's like it's not like people can't be great and still have humility. Like it doesn't mean it's like we're saying like, I'd never say to someone like, "Don't your shine for no one else." And like if you shine, you shine. But there's still like undertones to that as well. That's what I'm saying. For me personally, like I said, yeah, I hope his journey goes well. This is Dad pops on here and reacts to what was it? Andrew Tate, why he become a Muslim. Peace.
Out.